made our way around to the county seat of Dickens County, Dickens, Texas. And pretty interesting, it wasn't the original county seat. The original county seat was not far from here. We're going to go there shortly. But also it's interesting, in a rural county like this that the county seat is not the largest town in the county. In fact, it's maybe a fourth of the size of Spur, Texas, which is the largest town in Dickens County. I think it's kind of nice that they have this town still going. It has a reason to exist with being the county seat. Also, originally this area was settled by a guy with the last name Askins, and he found some springs just east of here, and they actually have a park here that's really interesting. I went over there to check it out. I actually went down to the springs, and it was originally called Askins Springs, and then it became Dickens Springs. When they decide to create basically a town to become the county seat, they move the town just a little bit east of that. So if you ever come here, make sure you see the springs. It's not too far away. The town grew 400 or 500 people, seemed to be where it kind of maxed out, and has been pretty small for a few decades. It's getting smaller, like most of the other towns in this county. Actually, I've realized I have been here before. Years ago, I was driving to Lubbock and on a track and field trip, and I stopped here. A couple athletes, we had me and another coach and some athletes in a van or something, and we saw the Dickens County Jail, and we actually went inside and got a tour of the jail. It's not open today, but it was really interesting, especially for some college kids that were with us, kind of out here in rural Texas, to see what the law was like. And I think it's still the county jailhouse. It's got a great look, and there's a lot of cool old buildings in this little square here. And so yeah, great little stop along the day to a place that actually does have a few people still here. So right here, kind of behind the courthouse, there's a rock, and it has, I'm assuming 1891, that's when the town began, and it has all the county officials, and then down at the bottom it has all the schools. And look at how many schools the county had. It's very, very interesting. Dickens actually has been consolidated into a couple other schools. There's not maybe a handful left in the county. But over here, there's East Afton, which I was trying to figure out how that began. I don't know much information. Heck, I don't know any information, so maybe somebody out there can let me know. Obviously, there was a chapel/school, so that's the mystery of what East Afton was. Very cool to have all that history right there. Espuela was the original county seat of Dickens County, and kind of an interesting story of what happened to it. Before the county existed, there were people here that were kind of owning land and settling and purchasing land, but there was no organization yet, and so there were different ranches, and Espuela was a huge one, and they had something like 500,000 acres out here. And so when the county was organized, this area, they thought, well, let's go to kind of the owners of that ranch, let's have a town there, and let's make that the county seat. And that's what they did. And it was around 1883, and it built into a town. And then it's kind of hard to know exactly the history, but it seems like that there were maybe some, there was people that obviously had the ranch, and then there was, when you make a county seat, you're kind of becoming part of the government here, and so there's some of those things kind of battle each other. And so there were disputes about how to govern in this area. And so there was a new election, a new vote for a county seat, and they decided to move to Dickens. And basically when that happened, the town of Spur was started, and all the businesses and a lot of people that lived in the town here in Espuela moved to Spur. And that was basically the beginning of the end for this town. There's nothing left except the cemetery, which is a great cemetery. Sometimes you find we've found some cemeteries that weren't that well taken care of, but this is a really interesting one, and there's plenty of new modern headstones, and obviously the community is still using this. So yeah, interesting part of history is certainly, if you're from this part of Texas or from Dickens County, probably be a place to come and check out. So at this point of the trip, we're going to go to Spur, Texas. We're going to pass through, but if you remember, I did a video all about Spur already. So if you haven't seen that, you might want to stop here, watch that video. We'll link it in the description, and then we'll continue on with the final few places here in Dickens County. So back in Dickens, there was a list of schools, and one of them was Steele Hill, and this is where Steele Hill is located. On that sign over there, it says it's a church, but maybe this was also a school and a church combined, but this is the only thing remaining here at Steele Hill. A great find at the end of our day is the Gilpin store, and I wasn't expecting to find anything here. I was reading about what the town used to be, and it was not much. It was very small. They did have a railroad actually here, so maybe that's why the store was here. No more than a couple dozen residents. The town was originally named Poet, and then it was named Gilpin after an early settler who was a county judge and the postmaster here in Gilpin. Then the post office, what didn't grow much, even though they had the railroad stop here, and the post office moved over to Spur, and all that's left, a couple houses here, but this is a terrific place to check out when you're exploring Dickens County, one of the historical buildings that are still left. If you're following along on the map, you notice I didn't really go in the northeast part of Dickens County, and I'm at the very south part. I guess you could say southeast, but mostly south. And I haven't been in the southeast part. There's really not hardly any roads. There's like one old country road, and then up in the northeast, there's not much to find either. But I knew when I was coming here, that there was a cemetery in the very southwest corner of the county, a bit out of the way, and I was debating on whether going there or not, but of course I'm going to go there. So let's head kind of out of the way down to the southwest corner. No quick way to get there, to the Red Mud Cemetery. Well, we've reached the end of our Dickens County journey today, and it finds us at the Red Mud Cemetery, and it is a gorgeous evening. And Red Mud was originally known as Tap, T-A-P, and later got changed to Red Mud. And the cemetery is really the only thing, that is left that resembles a community or anything. There are certainly some houses still out here. I had to take a detour through some open range to get here because there was a road closed. But man, it is really gorgeous. It is hilly, and more hilly than you might think about Texas in some places, and but just definitely wide open. And but yeah, great place to end the night. I hope you have enjoyed this tour of Dickens County. I didn't know anything about Dickens County, and glad that I was able to check out all the little towns and learn a little bit about the history. Hope you did too. No, that's the way I gotta go to the Red Mud Cemetery. And that pretty much brings us to an end of our tour of Dickens County. If you notice, if you're following along, there's wasps here, just so you know. If you ever come to Dickens, come to Gilpin, there's some wasps here at the old store. But lost my train of thought. What was I doing? Oh yeah.